Conservative pollster Frank Luntz is running into a bit of an issue with independent swing voters. And that issue is that ever since Donald Trump's criminal conviction, those swing voters seem a lot less likely to vote for the Republican candidate. Here is what the New York Times reported. Frank Luntz conducted a focus group for the New York Times, and they reported this. All 11 participants in our Times Opinion focus group were swing voters. They had supported or been open to Hillary Clinton or Mr. Biden at least once in 2016, 2020, or 2024, and backed or considered Mr. Trump at least once in those years as well. These voters all said they were struck by the verdict, even swayed in different ways, yet Mr. Trump's guilt didn't decisively turn them against the former president, a point that was Mr. Luntz's biggest takeaway from the group. Inflation, the economy, immigration, and abortion were the things that they said would ultimately determine their votes. Now, the reason I read you that is because that's a little interesting, right? He's like, well, I mean, it didn't necessarily sway them to not vote for Trump. And then it immediately goes on to quote these people who say that they will never vote for Donald Trump. You have one 55-year-old social worker who said she wasn't excited for Biden and said that she would need a, quote, very stiff drink after voting for him. However, quote, Mr. Trump was now beyond the pale, she said. I cannot have the president be a convicted felon. Full stop. A 31-year-old said this. I'm an attorney. Say what you want about the charging decision and the prosecutorial discretion of Alvin Bragg, but at the end of the day, 12 people in a box, and you never know what 12 people in a box are going to do, were able to come to a decision. So he also agrees they did this. There it is. The report continues, if these voters are any indication, the guilty verdict will complicate Mr. Trump's bid for the White House. Character and integrity mattered for the presidency, and discussed with Mr. Trump could tip the scales for some of them in the end. And that's the thing. This isn't about turning away all of the independent or undecided or swing voters or whatever the hell you want to call them. Those are the people who typically maybe even split, maybe 55-45 one way or the other. But what these people are saying, like literally saying, is that I don't like Biden, but there's no way in hell I'm going to vote for a convicted felon. So maybe I need a stiff drink after I vote for Biden, but I'm not going to vote for the other guy. When you have these people who could go one way or the other telling you where they're not going to go, that's a bad sign. And it does, contrary to what Luntz claims, it does show that this conviction is swaying voters in the opposite direction of Donald Trump. So you can't sit there and listen to these people say these horrible things about Trump and the conviction and then be like, well, it didn't really sway any of them. They literally told you it swayed them. Like, that is insane that the New York Times would even publish Luntz saying that. But it is what it is. Independent voters are being turned off, and poll after poll following the conviction has shown the exact same thing. There are no outliers, folks. And it is completely different, too, when you hear them say the words. Like that one person that I read said it's beyond the pale to consider voting for a convicted felon. It's one thing to say it to a pollster like, no, I'm leaning Biden now, not leaning Trump. But to hear the rationale behind it and to publish the rationale behind it encourages more groupthink. I promise you, there's no undecided voters in this country who, following Donald Trump's conviction, are saying, oh, hell yeah, I am definitely voting for him now. That's not happening. And if it is, it's happening in such a small number that those people are being far outweighed by the voters that have now been turned off. Hey everybody, I don't know if you've noticed this, but we are closing in on a pretty major milestone here at Fair and Balanced as we approach 500,000 subscribers. But we're not there yet, and we definitely need your support. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, like and comment on the videos and share them as widely as possible.